Hello lovely people, welcome to my bookcases. I've had a day sorting books, bringing all the books I own out from the loft, because at 52, what am I storing books for? Why? So this is a VR to the lovely Lisa over at Lisa Papez. She did the most gorgeous video sharing her bookshelves and her to be read pile for 2021, and I loved it. I love looking at people's shelves. I love looking at people's books. And I said to Lisa in the comments, I might do you a VR to that. So this is my VR, but I didn't just start with the bookshelves. I had to start with the loft to work out what I'd got. It's a lot of books. There is no shortage of books, even though I'm on a no buy depth year. So this is that VR. It's me sorting my books, showing you my bookshelves and sharing some reading plans which are going to remain flexible for 2021, and I hope you enjoy it. So this is my art studio in the conservatory, and this is the cabin bed that I dismantled and rebuilt when I did my daughter's Christmas bedroom makeover. You can see it's given me loads of storage on top of the bed. So I've been up in the loft bringing down old art supplies. But I've also got this bookcase which I've put in front of the French windows, and I've completely sealed off this art studio from the lounge. And I'm about to go up into the loft and bring all the books down as well, because what's the point of them being in the loft? So today is Operation Don't Fall Out off this loft ladder again, which I did last week and nearly went over the banister. But let's get up in the loft and bring all the books down. You can see here I've got the first two boxes. They're full of just the most amazing art books that just shouldn't be stored in a loft. A lot of them are bent and curling and getting damaged. I know there's loads of art books up there. I know there's loads of parenting books, there's self-help books. There are loads of recovery books. And when I tried to recover from abuse and post-traumatic stress disorder, there are little vintage books like this one. And there are some novels and fiction books up there as well. I did get rid of a lot of my books because a few years ago I actually thought I was moving. Oh my gosh, look at the state of that. That is a treasury of knitting. I've had that since university days and used it to death. And there's another one down there as well. Those are going to be great to get out. Okay, so I'm going to take you up into the nightmare that is the loft. I will try not to fall off this ladder today, because last week I fell off this ladder right at the top and landed on my back. Are you ready? Oh my Lord. This loft is such a state. You can see I've started dragging out all the boxes of books that were in the eaves of the roof. Oh, look, that's what I fell down. Wasn't I lucky not to go over that banister? Yeah, it's full of old toys that the kids just don't want in their room but can't face me getting rid of. It's full of stored Christmas presents. It's got Christmas decorations and Halloween decorations that side. That's the mattress that came off my daughter's cabin bed. Oh, there's all sorts up here. So here are all the books dragged up to where the ladder is. There are a few more boxes around here. I can see my Harry Potter books in there. They were all underneath there. Now there's just dress-up clothes there now. Yeah, there's just loads of, there's camping equipment to one side. It is organised chaos up here. Those bookcases up there were where my art supplies were stored, and look at the cobwebs. Oh, this was so clean and tidy and empty up here when I was moving house. Okay, and they're all dragged down, ready to go down the stairs. So here are most of the books now dragged down from the loft, ready to sort. I can see all sorts in here, art books. Oh my gosh, look what I've just spotted. This was a book that my dad wrote before he died. And I haven't really read it. I've been too upset to read it. So he did one for each of us kids, and oh my goodness me, am I ready to read it? Oh gosh, his handwriting. Oh, okay, I'm having a moment with that. Okay, that's really special. Oh gosh. And while I try and compose myself, here's a box of Ladybird books. Gosh, these, if anything sums up childhood, it's the images on the front of these books for me. I lived for these books when I was a kid. Now, these are actually replacement books that I've been finding over the years to replace them. And most of these I found in a really odd little pub in Wales that was rammed full of vintage books, as well as serving alcohol and food. It was just an amazing find. I found most of these in there. This is another vintage kids book that I adore. It was found in a charity shop in Aberystwyth. Look, it was only 99 pence. I did originally buy it to use all these vintage illustrations for my artwork, but it would just be a sin to cut into this book. It is absolutely gorgeous. I would love to actually read this year, just to feel like a big kid again. Look at it, it's absolutely spectacular. The vintage illustrations are everything. A really, really special book to uncover and bring down from the loft. And then, of course, it's all peppered with these amazing hardback art books, things that I've collected over the years. There's a bit of poetry there. And there's that 1000 Gifts book that I read. It was the first book that got me thinking about gratitude. Michael Brennan Wood, textile art. Michael Brennan Wood was actually a tutor of mine when I was at university. And Luna's pushing her way in, wondering what I'm doing. Just loads and loads of art books, journaling books. I've been looking for that everywhere. Now I've found it. Oh my gosh. And in this box, I found a Brendan Burchard book. Before I found witchcraft, I was looking at business gurus for life advice. It never worked out. And then you've got boxes full of all the kids' most precious, special childhood books that they would listen to on my lap. There's my camera manual, more art books. Okay, progress so far. There's the bookcase in the art studio, arranged for now with all the art books. I told you there were loads. This shelf has got individual artists on. I can see that Beardsley book. There's Hockney. Who is that? That is Barbara Hepworth. That's a book about African art. I got that in a huge exhibition in London decades ago. The Hepworth book was brought down in Cornwall when I visited her home and studio. Park Güell. Oh, I loved going to Park Güell. That's Barcelona. That's Gaudi. There's Francis Bacon. I can see Macintosh watercolours. Peter Blake reminds me of my art teacher at school, who was a massive Peter Blake fan. There's a Frida Kahlo book that I'd like to read this year. I put all my vintage kids books, as you can see. There's a vintage Stitchcraft book, my Hans Christian Andersen book. All of those have gone on the art studio bookcase. Oh, there are some amazing illustrations in these kids' books. This is The Snow Queen, which was one of my favourite childhood stories. But the illustrations in this book, it's by a Russian illustrator, and he won prizes for this book. And the illustrations are incredible, which is why I put it on my art studio bookcase for inspiration. The top shelf, I want to make a little altar. I've got all loads of Frida Kahlo stuff on here. I want to start using icons as part of my practice. Frida Kahlo is such an inspiration to me. I've got her diary here, which I want to read. I've got her tarot deck. I've got a print that I bought in London at an exhibition of hers. Yeah, it's just the start of a new space for me. This shelf is full of kind of how-to books, This probably was one of the very first books I bought in the 80s when I realised that stitching for me had my heart and soul. And this book is so important to me for that. There's more stitching on here, just loads of textile art books, but stitches used as artwork, like paper making, metalwork. I can see loads of like make your own frames, crochet books. There's a paint book. Painting came much later for me. Oh my gosh, look at that. The Knitted Farmyard book. I bought that intending to knit the kids a farmyard. Perhaps I need to revisit this book. Shall I knit a farmyard? Oh my God, look at the pictures. I absolutely love it. I think I might need to knit a farmyard this year. Oh my gosh, I've seen the Knitted Bible. That went on a tour and I missed visiting that. I would have loved to have seen that. But a knitted farmyard sounds good. Flowers. I really, really want to learn how to crochet more flowers this year. There's that book that I had right from the start of my university days. Look at that. It's literally in pieces. That's probably been the most useful, most used book I've ever owned. That's the third treasury of knitting. Obviously, that didn't appeal as much because it's not falling apart. Dream toys, projects to knit. Oh, some lovely things there. Another journaling sketchbook book, which looks fantastic. Now, this stitch dictionary, I've been looking for that everywhere. Paper cutting, just all my passions all lined up on one shelf. Down on this bottom shelf, there's art from around the world. So this is like a collation of books that gives me reference inspiration for patterns and colours. This book of the Kells I've had probably about 40 years because I've always loved Celtic Irish art. This is also Celtic art. This was from an exhibition that I went to in London, which was all the Celtic jewellery and the Celtic metalwork. It was unbelievable. I literally spent days in there. So there's Egyptian reference material, there's textiles from around the world, there's more Egyptian stuff, African art, Indian art, there's Byzantium art on there. It's just a collection of all the things over the years that have fed into my own artwork and pattern collating. It's just a lifetime passion, really. And here on the floor are the piles of books that I've also tried to sort. So there's all the novels and spiritual books that came out of those boxes. These are to be sorted onto the different bookcases now around my house before I work out what I actually want to read. So there's loads of novels here and spiritual books. Look, I even found some music books to go in my piano music drawer. Here are some books that I've actually read. So Tove Jansson is one of my favourite authors. She wrote The Moomins, but her adult literature is incredible. Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, that trilogy. This little pile is probably going to be recycled. It's from when I was in the Christian church and I found it really triggering to find, to be honest. There's cookery books here. Paleo, when I was really fit before I used to eat paleo, but I am now vegetarian, almost vegan, so I'm not sure about these books anymore. There's loads of parenting books and, of course, really precious books from when the kids were really little. These are just a few of the ones that they asked for every single night. The Christmas books that came out. And look, behind me, the very last 4 boxes from Out of the Loft that I think have got more fiction books in. So I'm just going to sort the whole lot. I'm going to get the whole lot done and get it all sorted. So I am not going to succumb to the oh my God, what have I started feeling, and I'm going to just keep going. And this is the art studio bookcase. I think pretty much set up now. I found a few books to add to it from those last few boxes, but I'm really pleased with how it looks. I'm really excited about having a creativity altar with Frida on as well. So this is now the bookcase in the lounge. So I've still got some of my magazines. They're art magazines, they're really nice. I've got my Game of Thrones series there, which I've pulled one out that I'm currently reading. I'm reading book number 2. There are like Harry Potter books and the Lunar Chronicles and the Raven Boys. So some of these books at the bottom I've read. A lot of these, most of these are all unread. So there's loads there. None of those are even going to feature in this year's to be read pile. Okay, so a whole day sorting. I've had my moments. I have had that moment of thinking I just need to get these books donated and gone and not so much stuff around me. But that's the whole point of depth year. But so I'm going to start reading these books and then donating them onwards. I'm in my tarot studio. You can see my Kanban board is here. The shelf above it, I've tried to sort some of the books out that I think I might read this year now. Now I know what I've got and I've seen what I've got. I've gone through and I've got a selection of non-fiction, fiction, poetry, witchy, tarot books. There's different sections. I am going to leave it completely flexible because I don't necessarily like planning it out. If I decide that something else feels right to read, then that's fine. But I just thought I'd share some of the books now that I've reduced it down to. There are too many books still on this shelf. My Goodreads total for the year is 50 books and I always really struggle to hit the 50 books. Often it's more like 35 books, but I put 50 there just as a encouragement to find the time to read. Otherwise it just gets lost. This has got more than 50 books on, so you know it's not really going to be hit, but I'm going to share what I've got on here. I've got my current reading book at the minute. I'm starting with this because Lisa, who this is a VR to, she recommended this book. It's really beautiful. The feel of the book is glorious. It's a rose petal finish. It's a kid's book and it's a magical quest with talking animals and a game that comes to life. I am only that far through it and I am loving it. It's a lovely, easy read. I'm going to go through fiction. I've got The Little Big Things. Being challenged in life is inevitable. Being defeated is optional. So Henry Fraser was 17 years old when a tragic accident severely crushed his spinal cord. Paralysed from the shoulders down, he has conquered unimaginable, why can't I read today? Unimaginable difficulty to embrace life and a new way of living. So that is that's a memoir, so that's quite exciting to read. Red Riding Hood, Believe the Legend, Beware the Wolf is a fairy tale retelling. Got to throw one of those in. This one, I've nearly finished this. I nearly finished this a few years ago. I might have to read back to remind myself, but I couldn't find it. I thought I'd left it at my caravan and I found it in the loft. I'd stored it away. So this is one to finish. This is beautiful. This is about a girl that can taste people's emotions in the food around them. Here's one inspired by the Literary Witches deck. So this is Audre Lorde. I read one of her poetry books in January. A little black girl opens her eyes in 1930s Harlem, weak and half blind. On she stumbles through teenage pain and loneliness, but then to happiness in friendship, work and sex. From Washington Heights to Mexico, always changing, always strong. This is Audre Lorde's story. A rapturous, life-affirming autobiographical novel by the black lesbian mother warrior poet. What a description. It changed the literary landscape. So this is me attempting to de-white my bookcase. Bloody Chamber, I'm pretty certain this is another one that I got because of the Literary Witches deck. From familiar fairy tales and legends, Red Riding Hood, Bluebeard, Puss in Boots, Beauty and the Beast, vampires and werewolves, Angela Carter has created an absorbing collection of dark, sensual, fantastic stories. The North Child, I mean, all of these books were either really cheap in Book Depository. Most of them, I would say 99% of the books I own are from charity shops that I've just spotted for £1 or 99p and thought, wow, I like the look of that. This is another kid's book. I've It's only been in the last 2 years I've allowed myself to read young adult or kids books, and it's some of them are so spectacular. If you like sort of fantasy novels and fairy tales, it doesn't matter that they're written for younger people. Some of them just stand the test of time. I think Harry Potter made me realise that as an adult, if you like that sort of fantasy bent, that you can go to children's fiction. This says, superstition says that children born facing north will travel far from home, and Rose's mother is terrified that Rose, a north child, will face a lonely, icy death as she follows her destiny. But Rose is unaware of this, so when an enormous white bear appears and wants to take her away, she agrees to his bargain. Sounds good. Neil Gaiman. I wanted to read some more of his. I've got a few books on the other bookcase I showed that's got loads of Neil Gaiman on. Again, you can see £1.99 from Oxfam. I read his, is it The Lake at the End of the Lane? Which was quite scary, but I loved that kind of fantastic magic element to it. So this is the one that I decided to read to try out more of his literature. Why can't I speak? I don't know. In the sleepy English countryside at the dawn of the Victorian era, life moves at a leisurely pace in the tiny town of Wall. Young Tristan Thorne has lost his heart to the beautiful Victoria Forrester, but Victoria is as cold and distant as the star she and Tristan see falling from the sky one evening. Falling stars, always good. For the prize of Victoria's hand, Tristan vows to retrieve the star for his beloved. It is an oath that sends the lovelorn swain, lovely, over the town's ancient wall and into a world that is dangerous and strange beyond imagining. Mystery worlds over walls. I'm all for that. The second book of the Game of Thrones series. I picked all of these up from a charity shop in Wales. I think I'm missing one of the whole series. I've never watched the TV show. A bit too much blood and gore in there for me. But I really enjoyed the first book. It's got dragons in it. Come on. So I have read a chapter. Look, I dog-eared a page. Don't come for me. But it's been a while, so I'm going to start again on that one. Octavia Butler. This is another book inspired by the Literary Witches. An epic story of love and hate. Two immortals chase each other across continents and centuries, binding their fates together and changing the destiny of the human race. Sounds so awesome. This is another charity shop 99p one. It is perhaps the 15th century and the ordered tranquility of a Mediterranean island that is about to be shattered by the appearance of two outsiders. One, a castaway plucked from the sea by a fisherman whose beliefs represent a challenge to the established order. The other, a child abandoned by her mother and suckled by wolves. Sounds good. Knowledge of Angels, that one's called. Oh, I'm excited about these. Another charity shop one. With his mother in hospital, Alex Cold is sent to his fierce, wonderful grandmother, Kate, a pipe-smoking, vodka-drinking old reporter with blue eyes as sharp as daggers' points. Okay, I'm sold. Kate is about to embark on an expedition to the dangerous remote world of the Amazon rainforest, but rather than change her plans, she simply takes Alex along with her. She sounds awesome. In a novel rich in adventure, magic and spirit, internationally celebrated novelist Isabella Land takes us on a voyage of discovery and wonder deep into the heart of the Amazon. Sounds great. Don't judge a book by its cover, but if it's got a piglet on, I am there for it. I'm just saying. Pictopia is narrated by the two very different voices of Jack and Holly, a pair whose unlikely bond forms around the pigs that Jack rears in secret. It is threatened by the intolerance of those around them, a classic double act Theirs is a story of unhappiness and foreboding, but also one of hope and the redemptive power of friendship. It's got a pig on the front, come on. The Bear and the Nightingale sounds good. It just says on the back, beware the evil in the woods. Don't need to know anymore. That's awesome. This one has got a Barbie doll on the front, a naked Barbie doll. I collect Barbies, I've got a loft full of them. It's got a bum on the back, kind of sold already. Oh my gosh, this has been on my bookshelf for forever. I've heard loads of people say it's fantastic. It's about racial tension exploding, finding sanctuary in the home of 3 beekeeping sisters. Sounds good. So that's another one. And The Secret Scripture by Sebastian Barry. This sounds brilliant as well. Roseanne McNulty, who's nearly 100, who's in a mental hospital where she was committed as a young woman, and a doctor starts writing up her file case and opens up a real shocking secret about when she was admitted. It is a novel. It's not based on true life, I don't think, but it sounds fantastic. Oh, I paid a lot for that. I paid £2 for that. This is one that I've nearly finished anyway. This has been on my reading pile for forever. I do love it. I come in and out of it. Let's just get it finished. I love Caitlin Moran's writing. I think she's brilliant. So I kind of think that that's it for novels. Yeah, so poetry. I want to finish the Sylvia Plath poems, which I've been studying. My dog is trying to lick my hand. Oh, another novel, Margaret Atwood. I've got loads of Margaret Atwood to read. This is Good Bones. These wise and witty writings home in on Shakespeare's tree stumps, ecological disasters, bodies male and female, and theology, amongst other matters. So it's a book of her short stories. This is somebody called James McInerney. He's somebody that I discovered on Instagram and thought I would look at his poems. Oriah Mountain Dreamer. Yeah, the invitation at the beginning is that famous poem that starts, "It doesn't interest me what you do for a living. I want to know what you ache for if you dare to dream of meeting your heart's longings." So that was the poem called The Invitation, which I'd seen online, which I absolutely love. And then this is the book where she puts that poem in and then expands on the ideas within it. So it's I'm kind of classing that as poetry. And then The Ice is Singing by Jane Rogers. The story of a woman on the run from her husband. I thought this was a poetry book, but it's not. So anyway, I need to suss out some more poetry books. Right, for non-fiction, I need to finish reading this. I've started that. That's on my reading list. Or Notes from the Women That White Feminists Forgot. So it's feminism from a person of colour, a black woman's perspective. Vital reading. White Fragility. I still need to get to this one. Why I'm No Longer Talking to White People About Race. That's going to be read. I'm currently reading My Grandmother's Hands. That's taken me a while to get through. I've nearly finished that, but really important book. Wild Remedy, How Nature Mends Us, which is a diary. I've got 3 diaries on the go. This one looks beautiful. Look at this. Hopefully this will inspire me with a garden journal. I've already read that one, which is a graphic memoir by Kim Kranz. And I've also got the Frida Kahlo diary in my art studio. So this is a 3rd one. They're fascinating me at the minute. I think it's because I love journaling and I'm really back into journaling. And then so I'm going to give that one a go and see what that one's like. And then a book about emotional intelligence. And then I laughed at this book. This is a Brendan Burchard book. I laughed at this when I found it in the books that were stored away in the loft, because I thought, gosh, I don't look to these type of business type gurus anymore for answers forward. Since I found witchcraft, I don't feel the need for these books. But then I thought how interesting it would be to read it from the place I'm in now, to see if it's totally discountable for where I'm at, or whether I can see things from a different perspective. I haven't read it yet, so I threw it in the possible to be read pile for this year. Okay, so I've scooted across just a little bit now. I feel a little bit like a weather woman pointing to the shelves. These are my tarot books, and I've got witchy books down here. I've got some manga up here. The two manga that I definitely would like to read. I want to finish reading Orange, which I've already started. And also Death Note. Both of these are volume 1 of these series. And look, Death Note comes with black edged pages. Just gorgeous. So there's two manga in the mix. These are current books that I'm reading. I'm reading the Tarot of the Spirit book to go with the deck. Practical tarot techniques I'm working through. Your Tarot Court as well, which is Ethany's book. And the Book of the Great Queen, which is the Morrigan book I'm reading. And also my Bridget book. So the Goddess books and those books are currently all being studied at the moment. Other tarot books I'd like to get to. Let me come around this way. This big Tarot of the Spirit book. This Kabbalah book, it's an absolute monster of a book. I would really love to get through that this year. This one, again, I am halfway through this. That's going on with my thought study. The lovely Tom Benjamin's book is up high on the list. Tarot Unearthed, a practical approach to the cards. I am really interested in studying the numerology more this year, and I know that's a big part of this book. And then this book as well, Eastern Body, Western Mind, which again Lisa recommended. It's by Anadia Judith. It's a book that explores the chakras. I have really felt a call to make sure that all my chakras are clear this year. I do know already, without even studying anything, there is a heart chakra block. I can just feel it. It keeps coming up in meditation. It keeps coming up in tarot readings. So that's important to get to this year. Witchy books. This one, Transformative Witchcraft. I really, really want to get to that. Garden witchery as well. With the opening up of the garden this year, me being in a different phase of the build and a different place in my practice, I do want to start looking at bringing more witchcraft into the garden. So that's going to be studied as well. And these two as well. This one, Magical Power for Beginners. I don't want to skip any phases. I want to make sure that I know things from the ground up. This book sounds really good. It's about harnessing energy, harnessing power, which is your starter for 10. So that's on the list to be read. And this one, the Doreen Valiente Witchcraft for Tomorrow, is one I really want to read. So those are some witchy books as well. So that's it. I kind of totted up how many books were on that list. And it was heading towards 60 books. In fact, it might even have been a little bit more than 60 books. But those are my to-be-read books of 2021. It's a big, ambitious, gloriously exciting pile. It's been a busy day, dragging books down from the loft, sorting them all out. I feel a lot lighter now that I feel that they're not hidden away in the loft anymore. And yeah, it's just been really fun to do. I am quickly going to show you two things in here as well. First thing I want to show you is how many books I realised I'd got to do with post-traumatic stress disorder, narcissistic abuse, what it is, how to recover, how to build boundaries, how to heal your life, emotional literacy, codependency, how to recover from codependency, how to improve your self-esteem, how not to fall into addictive behaviour, to numb after trauma. 2 shelves rammed. That has been the work of my last decade. And then I wanted to show you over here on top of the piano the start of my ancestor altar. So with pictures of my dad, and there's my dad on his motorbike, and his brothers and sisters and his mom, and just a building of the altar to remember and to connect with that side of my family, which were full of beautiful souls. And that's where I put Dad's autobiography, which again, when my emotions can deal with it, I do want to read. Yeah, so that is the start of my ancestor altar, and that's where that ended up. So that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed that. It's been a long one, but it's been fun. Yes, so thank you, Lisa, for the inspiration, and happy reading, everybody. Bye.